So believe it or not, I was actually very surprised to see this, considering that this individual had reservations about participating in third party, candidacy, and they are now endorsing one. So if you have not seen this, Kyle Kulinski actually endorsed Dr. Jill Stein. I was really surprised by this. I don't know what this is all about, because I'm just like, I've heard you for the past couple years ago, make excuses for Joe Biden, grill Joe Biden on some things, but in a lot of ways make excuses for him. Not too long ago, it feels like he said that if you're in a swing state, you should vote for Joe Biden, like things like that. And now it's just like, now out of nowhere, he decides to endorse Jill Stein. And it makes me wonder, what is really behind this? Now, don't get me wrong. I think Jill Stein is our best chance third party right now, someone who supports the Palestinian movement, and someone who does have ballot access. Is just a reality of the situation, right? I love her platform. We're going to dive into that a little bit tonight. But I was very surprised that the person who kept saying that third parties aren't viable, the person who put forth Marianne Williamson, who I said back then was not good on this issue with Israel and Gaza, is now deciding to endorse third party candidate. And I believe it does have to do with Joe Biden's behavior in reference to Gaza. Let's go ahead and get into this endorsement here shared by Jill Stein from Kyle Kulinski. This was interesting.
Hey guys, it's Kyle Kulinski here from The Kyle Kulinski Show and Secular Talk on YouTube, and also Crystal Kyle and Friends. I want to wish Jill Stein a very, very happy birthday. I'm sorry that I couldn't be there with you tonight, but I wanted to lend a message of support. So we had her on the show the other day, and she really opened my eyes to a number of very disturbing things. First of all, to show you how terrible mainstream media is and how much they bury stories. I hadn't even heard of the fact that Jill Stein was assaulted at a pro-Palestine protests and then copped.
So that was kind of interesting that he didn't know about that until Jill Stein came on to Crystal Kyle and Friends, because I'm pretty sure almost all of us in left independent media covered that story. I'm pretty sure almost all of us. I know Bree covered it on Rising. Do I have to go through everybody? But Hardlands Media covered it. I know I covered it. I know I'm thinking about some of the bigger accounts. I believe it may have been covered by Status Quo, but from what I saw, most people in left independent media covered Jill Stein's arrest at the protest. So it's interesting to me that he said, well, mainstream media buried the story and that he didn't know about it, because I'm like, nah, bruh. Stephanie said, doesn't he watch YouTube? Yeah, nah, bro. And not only that, it was all over social media too. So that was interesting.
Had the nerve to charge her with assault. This is a presidential candidate and a woman who's over the age of 70. And they're so extreme and so egregious and so brazen that they charge her with assault when all she's doing is standing on the right side of history. Look, it reminds me of what happened during the anti-Iraq war protests. It reminds me of what happened during the anti-Vietnam war protests. It reminds me of what happened during the civil rights movement. The people who are on the correct side, the people who are doing the right thing in the moment, they get viciously smeared, and in this instance, also literally assaulted. So I heard that story, and it was grotesque, man. It was grotesque. And Jill also made another good point about how New York is effectively trying to keep the Green Party off the ballot by using dirty tricks. This is another thing that I was unfamiliar with. I mean, I know the myriad ways that they try to keep the Green Party off the ballot in multiple different states, but she gave specific examples of how New York is trying to do it. Again,
let me pause again. So this is another example where it just goes to show you that I don't think that Kyle is really paying attention to left independent media, because there have been a number of people that covered this as well. It's like, whoa, you're late to the table here, dude. You're late to the table. And I know a number of us have talked about particularly the issue in reference to New York multiple times, not just with Jill Stein, with other candidates, third party candidates as well. So it's really interesting here about how much he did not know about. And it makes you wonder, did he really just not know, or just I don't know, but it's really weird to me.
And there's another thing you don't hear the media talk about. And again, I'm ashamed to say that me, as somebody in media, I didn't even know about that, right? Jill also went on to make another phenomenal point about how if you look at some of these ideas that are now viewed as the duh positions on the progressive side now, a lot of it originated with the Green Party, man. Student debt abolition, free college, single payer Medicare for all, the Green New Deal. You know, they've always led the charge in saying we're anti-war.
But this isn't new. The Green Party has been saying those things for years. And it's interesting to me that in years prior, it was just more like, well, yeah, but this is not a viable option. Focus on Justice Democrats, changing the Democratic Party from within. When the reality is, and we said this a couple years ago, the Green Party actually was more progressive than the Justice Democrat strategy. And a lot of people, if you go back and you look at some of the policies that the Green Party had years ago, they were actually ahead of their time. But people just didn't want to pay attention, didn't want to focus on it because it wasn't the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. When you look at the Green New Deal, which I feel like, AOC and Ed Markey kind of co-opted, the Green New Deal came from the Green Party. And AOC and Ed Markey decided to come up with their own Green New Deal, and they watered it down compared to the Green New Deal that came from the Green Party. So this is important for people to fully grasp here. Basically, what has happened is you had this Justice Democrat strategy, which actually took some of those same ideas that the Green Party had, but they watered them down. Which is, again, why you cannot run this type of revolutionary, radical, type of thinking through the Democratic Party, because it will be watered down. So it's just weird. It's like Kyle sounds like he just discovered all this yesterday when people have been talking about this for years.
So again, I want to wish Jill a very, very happy birthday. I want her to know that she has my support. I think she's very brave for running in this environment, in this climate. And look, bottom line is, there is one candidate in this race who is both on the ballot and anti-war. And we all know who that is. Donald Trump likes to pretend he's anti-war. He's not. Sometimes Biden likes to pretend he's anti-war. He's clearly not. He's arming and funding a genocide right now. Cornel West, I'm not sure he's going to get on that many ballots. And RFK, don't get me started. This is a guy who pretends like he's the most anti-war, but he's also in favor of Netanyahu committing a genocide and us arming and funding it. And he completely dehumanizes Palestinians on a regular basis. So from where I'm sitting, from my perspective, there's one candidate in this race that's doing the right thing and standing on the right issues. And, look, fighting for it at a time that's important historically, where nobody else is stepping up and doing the right thing. And so, again, very happy birthday to Jill Stein. Sorry I couldn't be there with you guys today, but I'm there with you in spirit. And Jill, we wish the best for you moving forward.
So this was pretty interesting. Again, considering what he said just a couple of months ago. Remember, Kyle had admitted on Crystal and Kyle and Friends that he actually asked Marianne Williamson to run for president. And I've always said this, obviously, even the Green Party was still to the left of Marianne Williamson's platform. She had some of the same policies that Bernie Sanders had on her platform, but the Green Party was even to the left of that. And that's what I've been trying to explain to people for quite some time. So it's interesting that he went from Marianne to now it's okay, I'm going to endorse Jill Stein and support third party, which I'm all for the third party movement. I vote third party. I'm for people supporting the third party movement, but it is kind of strange to me considering what he said just a couple of months ago. And I don't know if everybody remembers this, but I do. Now, this was actually when Dr. Cornel West was running through the Green Party at that point in time. And he was pretty angry about that. And he also made some comments about the Green Party that he wasn't too happy with. So this was just a couple of months ago that Kyle had some pretty damaging things to say about third party runs, to say about third party efforts, and to say about the Green Party. So I want you to see the difference. It's like night and day here, because you have to ask yourself, what is the motivation? What is the motive at this point in time?
5% for the Green Party? Is that what it is? So that you can get matching funds and make it more viable. But again, I hate to tell you, the Green Party and no third party will be viable unless and until we get ranked choice voting.
So we still don't have ranked choice voting on a national level. So what? Now, that was him speaking to Dr. West at that point in time when Dr. West was running through the Green Party. That was who he was addressing that message to. So it's just really weird to me how you flipped now all of a sudden to, yes, we got to support. Now, I don't know if it's because of October 7th, what's happening in Gaza. I don't know what it is. But this wasn't that long ago. This wasn't that long ago.
What do you think you're doing here? Like, what do you think you're doing here? Do you actually think you can win? Because you can't. If you get rid of first past the post voting and you do ranked choice voting and you get it tomorrow, I would literally be like a Green Party cheerleader. I would become like an evangelist for them. Because then, like, then you are, by definition, you're serious. And so, but if you do ranked choice voting and get rid of first past the post voting, then you immediately get rid of any objection to having an independent candidate or a third party candidate. And then I genuinely think overnight, the Green Party becomes more viable. The Libertarian Party becomes more viable. You could come up with some new party. You could run as an independent, and that would become more viable. So I guess my frustration is like in this discussion, everybody always puts the cart before the horse.
Jill Stein.
So putting the cart. So listen to this, guys. These are his own words. So Indie News Network created this. These are his own words about the Green Party. Again, just a couple of months ago.
Stein was not a spoiler. It is not those voters' fault who voted for you, like you guys that voted for Jill Stein.
But she got blamed anyway.
But she got blamed.
And then the left was further marginalized as a result of it.
So I don't see the connection. And I see a much more direct connection between protecting the Biden National Labor Relations Board and allowing this little budding, exciting, amazing, potentially transformational labor movement to actually grow. Whereas if Trump gets reelected, which is, listen, it's the fact, based on how the Democratic Party is going to respond to Cornel West's election bid, it is more likely that Donald Trump gets elected with Cornel West in the race. And that, to me, is a massive loss because we know what his record is. We know what his National Labor Relations Board was. We know who his labor secretaries were and how they were engaged in all this union busting. And so I see a much more direct connection between that moving the ball in our direction than, Cornel West getting 5%. And either his candidacy not really mattering at all, or being used once again to, smear the left and marginalize the left and say these are just the people that are interested in getting Trump elected.
So you guys hear all this, right? So you hear all this. So again, that was the debate between Bree, Kyle, and Crystal. That was just a couple of months ago. And it was interesting that they were bringing up Biden in reference to labor. That was interesting to me because we're going to forget about the railroad workers. We're going to forget about how Biden broke the railroad workers, stopped them from going on strike. Biden, no, let's stop calling him the labor guy, right? And if you talk to people who are working class, they'll tell you how they feel about this. You talk to people that are part of these unions, they'll tell you how they feel about this. Even unions that actually publicly endorsed Joe Biden for 2024, even the president of the UAW told everyone that his members are not going to vote for Joe Biden. People have to understand a lot of times these unions are paid to endorse a politician. And here we go.
So again, I want to wish Jill a very, very happy birthday. I want her to know that she has my support. I think she's very brave for running in this environment, in this climate. And look, bottom line is there is one candidate in this race who is both on the ballot and anti-war. And we all know who that is. Donald Trump likes to pretend he's anti-war. He's not. Sometimes Biden likes to pretend he's anti-war. He's clearly not. He's arming and funding a genocide right now. Cornel West, I'm not sure he's going to get on that many ballots. And RFK, don't get me started. This is a guy.
And I think we already saw the rest of this. But yeah, shout out to Indie News Network for this because they were able to go back and catch some of that other those other takes there. Now, we'll say this. This will be interesting to see, though, because I don't understand why now all of a sudden he seems to be okay with endorsing a third party candidate and supporting them after all these things he said over the past couple of months. We don't have ranked choice voting, etc. I don't know what's happening, but I will say I want to see if this makes a difference in reference to some of the more liberal viewers that watch Secular Talk and bringing them over to the Green Party. Secular Talk has a massive audience. Breaking Points has a massive audience. So the fact that now Kyle and I believe Crystal has as well have endorsed Jill Stein, I'm interested to see if that will actually, make Jill Stein's campaign more popular, but also convince some of the people that are still in the duopoly to officially leave the duopoly and support a third party candidate. So that'll be interesting to see. I will say that. Now, Jill Stein did release her platform, and I just want to show you some of this. We're not going to go through all of it because there's a lot of items on here, but I thought you guys be pretty interested to see what Jill has on her platform. People's economy, I think is awesome. Of course, we're talking about here, guaranteeing lifelong free public education for all institutions of learning. That includes trade schools and pre-K through college and graduate school, abolish all student debt for 43 million Americans, increase and equalize public school funding, and end the privatization of public schools. Those are just a couple of things. I'm not going to go through all of it, but this is basically a lot more. I would say if you compare it to Bernie Sanders' campaign, this is bigger than that in reference to the policy platform. When we look at labor, she's asking for a $25 minimum wage, index to cost inflation and productivity growth, guaranteed livable income above poverty, guaranteed housing as a human right, implement universal rent control, increase federal support for worker-owned cooperatives. I think that Jill Stein's campaign, they really listened to a lot of the things that people have been saying in left independent media and about what working class people want. They've also talked to working class people on the ground. We want to go to housing here. One of the things here, it says in homelessness and housing insecurity with a homes guarantee. That's interesting. Nationally adopt housing first practices. Support a universal tenant bill of rights, to name a few. And again, there's more and more. Healthcare. Of course, I know a lot of you are interested in this one. This is big, implement a national improved Medicare for all as a precursor to establishing a UK-style national health care service. So remember, a national health care service goes further than Medicare for all. So that's interesting. Again, this is going a step further than Bernie's campaigns. Cancel all medical debt, advance reproductive rights and codify Roe v. Wade. Let's go on a little bit here. There's more about the NIH as well. It's pretty long. I'm not going to read through all of this, you guys, but I'm going to just touch on a couple of things. Democracy, replace the exclusionary two corporate party system with an inclusive multi-party democracy through ranked choice voting and proportional representation. That's a big one. Implement ranked choice voting for all elections nationwide. Again, I think these are huge, right? This is huge. Lower the voting age to 16. So this is another one, right? Pretty big. And the other one I want to touch on, prisons and policing. Ban private prisons and detention centers. Abolish the death penalty. End mass incarceration and build a system centered on restorative justice, to name a few. Fully legalize cannabis for recreational and medicinal use with similar restrictions to alcohol. All right, let's go down a little bit more. End cash bail. That's a big one. Eliminate Cop City police training facilities. That's huge. Let's go on a little bit more here. Social justice. Okay, so this is big one for the indigenous community. Tribal indigenous sovereignty. Honor all existing treaties with indigenous nations. Ensure free, prior, and informed consent for any and all activity on tribal sovereign land. Establish a federal land back commission. So I know a lot of you have been asking about land back. So this is here as well. And then we go into reparations and the agenda to facilitate Black liberation. So this is big too. Scholars and activists who have studied and formulated propositions for reparations itself have put the minimum cash value of reparations at 12 trillion to be paid to those who claim legitimate descendancy from enslaved Blacks prior to the Civil War. So a lot of people have been asking, does Jill Stein have a reparations platform? Or on her platform, she does. And she has a lot of things mentioned here. Again, we're not going through everything, but direct all federal agencies to consider and include race and ethnicity as part of all of their initiatives and other programs implemented with federal dollars. Overturn the harmful Alexander versus Sandoval Supreme Court decision that currently increases the burden for or eliminates private right of actions against entities that violate Title VI and other mandates contained in the Civil Rights Act of 1965. There's a lot here. Increase investment in historically Black colleges and universities. It's a lot, like I said. And then was that the last one? Oh, LGBTQIA rights as well. Support the Equality Right, the Pride Act, the Every Child Deserves a Family Act, and bills to prohibit discrimination by the U.S., military, state, or local governments or private industries. Interesting. Federally prohibit the harmful practice of conversion therapy. It's a lot. It's a lot. Disability rights. Work towards economic security for people with disabilities by ensuring opportunities to partake fully in the economy at a fair wage and to enable financial security for all. That is a big one, right? Because if you know someone that's on disability, I mean, I have family members that are on disability, like they don't actually make much. You know, if you're on disability, you're not getting like a huge check here. Help children with disabilities and their families by providing life-changing early interventions and getting them valuable access to education. So her platform is there. Check it out. It's really big. And another thing that happened earlier today, too, you guys know that Donald Trump and Joe Biden are having this discussion about, oh, we're going to have a debate, that type of thing. They do want to debate each other. Well, it's obvious like they're forgetting people like, you know, RFK, Cornel West, Jill Stein. So she actually posted this earlier today. This is funny. Will my opponents stop ducking and agree to debate me? Or are they chicken? Add your name to tell Biden, Trump, and RFK Jr. stop hiding from democracy and debate Jill. And this is funny, guys. Look at this picture. Oh my God, this is bad. So you have Donald Trump here, his head's on the chicken. Biden's, is this a duck? Biden's on a duck. And RFK Jr.'s down here trying to get the worm. That was good. Whoever like created this. That's a good one. You have good design skills. But yeah, so again, very surprised that he endorsed Jill. But I will say this, maybe this will bring more people over to the third party movement. We'll have to see. Let's go to some of the comments in the chat. Oh my God. Kai says, I ain't a big fan of Kyle, but I hope this helps her campaign. I think it will. Brenda Holiday. Yes, you did. Katie Halper covered it too. Yep. Shout out to Quincy Holdman for becoming a Sabby member. Let's give Quincy a big whoop whoop. Quincy in the house. Thank you, P. Smith. That hair dye is ravaging his brain. Oh God. Thank you, Sir Bikes a Lot Day. If it wasn't for a genocide, Kyle would still be supporting Barely Biden. That's what I think too. I really do think it's because of Gaza, you know? Spark Joy, Kyle's motivation is more subscribers to his channels. Jay says, oh, the flip-flopping of it all.